All right, it's the end of the day. We are in front of the Quadramat. I know you're tired, you want to go home, but the machine needs cleaning. I know the machine is engineered to work in the middle of dust, but as much as we work really hard to keep the dust away from where it doesn't need to go, dust will always manage to get where it's not supposed to. So it is important that at the end of the day, you blow the machine clean. And I say at the end of the day because if you let the machine sit overnight with all the dust on, the oil that is deposited on the machine by the automatic lubricator will bond with the dust, and by the next morning you will not get rid of it. So remember, at the end of the day, set aside 10 minutes to blow out the machine. So going to clean a machine when it's this tight would be kind of impossible. So what a lot of customers do, and what I did in this machine as well, I have created a work recipe called cleaning. We're going to select this recipe. In this recipe, all the units are off. I'm going to send this recipe to the machine, and I'm going to start it just like I would start any other recipe. So I press the button for a couple of seconds. This starts blinking, I push, and this one moves. And basically, we are creating the space that will allow us to get in the middle of the machine and work. So now that the shoulder is positioned, we are going to stop the program first. Once the program is stopped, all the units are disabled, so they already went into the park position. We're going to switch the key into safe mode, key in the pocket, and then you're going to grab the air wand and you start going inside the machine cleaning. This is cutting edge technology. It's wireless air wand. Come on with me and let's see what's critical in this machine. The first thing that I want you to blow clean, it's the pressure wheels. The pressure wheels in these machines, they're critical to maintain the parts square and flat on the chain. But by the end of the day, you're going to have major amounts of dust accumulating on them. So you grab your air wand and you go pretty close, don't be shy. You just blow clean very well. Give it a couple of passes back and forth just to make sure that there is no dust in the wheels, because they do have a bladder system with the gaskets that will get eaten up by the sawdust there. Obviously, you have to repeat the same thing on this side. You're gonna blow it up and down a couple of times. You make sure that everything is cleaned up. Now, the next critical point in this machine is the main shaft. The machine is sliding along the shaft multiple times a day. That shaft is what maintains the machine square. That shaft needs to be cleaned. And we do have gaskets that they try to scrape back and forth. So it tries to keep itself cleaned up as much as it can. But the best thing is to grab your air wand and clean out, especially the keyway. Blow it clean because dust tends to enter in the creases between the keyway. Next thing, it's the base frame, the famous cast iron heavy duty frame that has 4 rails. You need to clean them because the whole machine sits on these rails and walks miles back and forth on these rails. So you need to grab your air wand and you gotta clean the rails really well, both sides, like this, like that. And also you have to clean the rack that moves the machine. And you do it on this beam as well as on this beam. And you go down here and you just blow the rack really well, because dust will go in between the teeth here and eventually they will break the gearbox if it's not cleaned daily. We do have a blower that tries to blow it clean, but trust me, at the end of the day, blow everything, blow here, blow there, do all 4 rails. The whole machine sits in there. She needs to move smoothly. The next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go inside the machine, because obviously there is gonna be dust accumulation even here. And remember, the doors will not open if you don't have the key in safety mode. In here, you're gonna give a general blowout, clean the venting of the servo motors, but very importantly, blow the screws, the bore circulating screws. You have the vertical and the horizontal. Vertical, horizontal. And again, even over here, you have the vertical screw, you have the horizontal screw there, horizontal screw here. You do have these rails. You're gonna clean everything, even the motors. You don't want to have dust accumulate on these things, because the grease will bond with the dust, and eventually it's gonna start scraping the metal, break the screw, break the bore circulating nut. Those are very expensive components that they can get severely damaged by the sawdust. So it is important that every day, at the end of the day, you clean these components. Now, we have cleaned up everything, but today is not just a normal day. Today is Friday. It's the last day of the week, so we're about to go home for the weekend, not just for the night. So the machine will sit for a couple of days. This is the moment where you have to do also the weekly cleanup. And the weekly cleanup requires something extra. Something like this. Now, this is not WD-40 and it's not just a normal lubricant. This is a dry lubricant. It is dry. Why do we want to use a dry lubricant? We use a dry lubricant because we don't want sawdust to stick to an oily, sticky lubricant. So once a week, we grab the can of the dry lube, and this is what I want you to do. I want you to grab it, spray a good amount onto the rag, and you spray really good. And once you got it all nice and wet, you just wipe this main shaft back and forth a few times, removing all the grime and leaving a nice lubricated layer onto the shaft. Now, you may be wondering why I am not spraying directly onto the shaft. Why am I not spraying directly there? The thing is very simple. This is a dry lubricant, but to be sprayable, it's gotta be liquid first. To keep a liquid, they add a lot of solvents inside these cans. If I spray these solvents onto the rubber gaskets that are around the bearings, it's gonna eat them up. So anytime you clean these things, you spray on the rag and then you wipe. And you have to do the same thing on the 4 main rails. So this is how you do it. You spray a good amount, and then you pinch the rail with your fingers like this, and you go back and forth. And you wipe, and then you move on. Next rail. Again, spray. You gotta put quite a bit because it dries out as you spray. And then you want these rails to be nice and shiny, but remember that you are pinching the rail. And I'm gonna insist on that because a lot of people think that the machine sits on top here. In reality, the machine is not sitting here. The machine grabs onto the side. That's the critical point where the machine needs to have a clean surface to move. So we're gonna spray, and then we pinch and wipe. And last time, being that this is the heavy duty frame, we have the quad rails, so we have to do it 4 times. And again, pinch and do. I mean, it's thanks to these rails, to these quad rails, that we're able to move such a heavy piece of machinery as quick as you saw in this video. Now that we wiped everything, there is one last thing that you have to check, and it's the automatic lubricators that this machine features. There is 3 of them. The machine self-lubricates herself, so that's why it's important that once a week you wipe away whatever excess oiling there is. This is the first oil reservoir. These oilers, they do oil those main rails that we just worked with, as well as the chain. You may wonder, why did I just lubricate if the machine has a self-lubricator? Well, this is just oil, and like I said, the oil will bond with the sawdust. So putting a layer of dry lube on those rails at the end of every week will assure that there is a non-sticky layer on the rail that will make sure that when the machine moves, any debris will get pushed away. There are 2 more oil reservoirs back here. You have one here and one here. Anytime you see any of these oil reservoirs that they are not filled up, that they are below half, you have to make sure that you refill them. You can use a 5-weight or a 10-weight oil. That's okay. You just put in there, the machine will run with it. If you let these things go down too far, what happens is that the machine will start sucking in air bubbles, and once you have those air bubbles going into the system, it will take weeks to clear them off. And during those weeks, you are going to keep having alarms popping up on the screen that there is an anomaly in the lubrication system. It's just a pain. So please remember, at the end of the work week, and not at the beginning of the new one, at the end of the work week, you're going to spray your rag and wipe the shaft and wipe the 4 rails. If you wait for next Monday to do it when you come back from the weekend, whatever dust was accumulated there, you will have to scrape it to remove it. And that it's no good, because first of all, it's a lot more effort to do it, and secondly, you could damage the machine parts. So I'll insist you blow the machine clean at the end of the day, and you wipe the machine at the end of the week. With this, we have finished all the training necessary to properly run this Quadramat. I hope you guys will enjoy running this machine and keep it well, so we'll do a good job. Thanks for watching, and thanks for choosing FRIULMAC.